In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at the tropics as we have a lot happening in the East Pacific, two areas of interest there. We still have our Gulf threat that is not really increased in probability at all. So as of now, that one does not look like it's going to develop, but it does look like it's going to be a pretty big rainmaker. And outside of that, in the Atlantic, we do have a couple of areas of concern, perhaps moving forward for perhaps the Gulf or the East Coast as we're approaching kind of the beginning of the peak of hurricane season. These threats are going to be a lot more serious moving forward, and we're going to just treat every single one as if it is a potential system that could develop. So we're going to be talking about that alongside the upcoming fall-like temperatures for the beginning of August that we've been discussing over the last few days. Much, much cooler than normal conditions on the way. This is probably the biggest cool down I've seen the models suggesting for the summertime in a couple years, so it is pretty significant, and we're going to discuss that a lot today. Now let's go ahead and zoom in. We have a couple of areas over the East Pacific here, as we were mentioning, one of which is this area here, which has a 40% chance of development over the next 2 days, a 60% chance over the next 7 days. So essentially, we have a greater chance than not that this one develops here, and that is going to be happening kind of over the next couple days. As we mentioned, as we kind of play this out, we see a system begin to move into the very eastern half of that area and begins to start to get its act together. This model says no, the GFS model, but we have some models on board. Regardless, a lot of activity sticks within that orange area, and there probably is going to be numerous threats. As we kind of back things up, I want to take a look at this yellow area over the next few days, because we do have a 0% chance over the next 2 days, but a 30 over the next 7. And we can see here that this one is kind of the same thing. It does start to get its act together, but kind of fizzles out. And really, this model shows a couple of other threats closer to Central America. So the Eastern Pacific is really, really waking up here. As far as our system here in the Gulf, as we just watch this play out, we can see that it is going to cause some rain, especially today into tomorrow morning for the coast of Texas there, before pretty much dissipating and becoming a non-event. So really not much to worry about outside of the next 24 hours for that system. And even then, it's just kind of some heavy rainfall. As we watch the entire Atlantic here, we start to see some interesting things happen. This system kind of just woke up off of Eastern Africa or Western Africa and swings around, and it wants to move this way. Typically, this is a very concerning track. And once we get into August, and we're very close, this is actually August 1st, we do have reason to be a little bit concerned about that. So again, we watch this move off that west coast of Africa, move all the way along what we call the MDR, which is short for Main Development Region. Then it really gets its act together there along the Eastern Caribbean, eventually moving through the entire Southern Caribbean, and then hitting somewhere in Central America. But it is far enough out to where, again, we're pretty confident that this system is going to move to this point, but there's big question marks as to where it goes from there, and really, anything is essentially possible. So we'll be watching all of the Caribbean, all of the East Coast, all of the Gulf Coast, even out to sea locations, and of course Central America for this potential system that we'll be watching. After that one, it looks like we don't have much in the way of tropics outside of that. So we'll be watching this system pretty closely, see what happens. Let's go ahead and move over to Weather Bell. As we take a look at the storminess here, again, we do look at East Texas for some potential storminess there that we really need to watch. We do see this kind of just pocket here for Texas, Louisiana. As we keep going with this, that moves in. And really, for at least the next few days, there's not too much of concern. We get some storminess across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast over the coming days. This is through the 28th. Looking forward, it's really those same areas until about the 29th, where we start to see the Southeast and Deep South kind of wake up a little bit more as far as storminess and activity as a whole. So we keep kind of going along. We see that, again, we get a lot more active moving towards the 2nd here. The reason being is because by this point, we have this large ridge in the west, large trough in the east, so that cooler air has successfully moved into the eastern states. The boundary between that cold and this strong push of warm, humid air, which is, you know, your normal summertime stuff, It really doesn't want to be displaced. It's naturally in this area, so it's being kind of forced back out, but it's very, very tough. And that toughness and this cold air moving in really, really aggressively creates a huge squeezing effect between those two air masses, which causes lift and rising air, which causes all of these thunderstorms to pop off across Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, maybe even as far northward as Maryland and Delaware there in the east. We're seeing a lot of thunderstorms for that first few days of August, maybe even some severe weather concerns. We're going to have to really watch that closely. I want to keep going because we see this deep south kind of stay active. Even along Louisiana, we just see that rainfall sitting there. And then actually, here's your tropical concern right here, and you can see this model takes it, off the southeast. So again, we have the GFS model showing it hits Central America. The European model shows it off the southeast. So really, there's a wide variety of options there. We see this one move through the Bahamas. I just want to point out where it's at right here. Moving through the Bahamas, it doesn't look particularly concerning on this model as of now, but that can also change really, really quickly. And then it moves out to sea from that point, but we really can't rule anything out. So we're going to really watch that threat. Both models have it kind of developing a little bit and at least sticking around. So that's enough reason to be a little bit concerned and be aware of that system. Looking at the total precipitation, because of this just sitting precipitation, we've actually seen a huge uptick across the deep south and southeast areas as a whole. And these areas continue to look active, but much less active than we were talking about, let's say, a week ago. Looking at the anomalies, again, still a little bit above average for some of these pockets, but now we're starting to see these deep south and southeast areas get a lot more above average, so could be seeing an increase over time with the precipitation there. Here is the last 20 days of temperatures. We can see it's still been warm along the east overall, although cooler times are on the way. And then the west and central states have been a lot more neutral, with some colder spots, some warmer spots, and that kind of equals out to pretty neutral, like I mentioned. So mostly warmer in the east, neutral out west is the theme. As far as the upcoming temperatures, though, I want to talk about this because we do have a heat wave on the way, and that's mostly going to be from like the 27th here, 28th, 29th. We see really, really hot temperatures across a lot of the central and eastern states. But as we keep going, we see this cool down start to move in right around Thursday on August 31st, right into the 2nd and 3rd here, where we see the entire eastern 2/3 of the nation essentially dealing with well below normal temperatures. The darker blues are where we're like 5 to 10 degrees below normal. The greens are 10 to 15 degrees below normal. This is significant for the summertime. Fall time, winter time, we usually see these a handful of times, if not more. But the summertime, this is a very aggressively cool pattern for this time of year. And yes, just like yesterday's video, we were saying, for some areas, this spells October weather being experienced in the beginning of August. So that is hugely unseasonable. And, it's not too cold. We're talking mostly upper 60s for some very, very northern spots. Low to mid 70s for areas surprisingly far south, like more of your middle areas. And then for your further south areas, it might just mean some relief from the heat, like let's call it mid to lower 80s, maybe upper 70s for some spots. But definitely cooler, especially at night for these northern areas, much earlier than we're typically used to seeing that. Super, super interesting. With all that being said, that's it for this video, guys. So be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.